No one heard the first signal. It came from beyond the edge of the solar system, far past Pluto, where human technology barely reached. A faint pulse, artificial, precise, ignored. Humanity had grown comfortable in its ignorance. For decades, scientists searched for extraterrestrial life. They pointed telescopes into the void, listened to static, decoded meaningless noise, and found nothing. So they stopped looking. That was their first mistake. The second mistake was not being ready. It started with shadows. At first, astronomers noticed tiny distortions in deep space, stars blinking out for a fraction of a second, light bending in unnatural ways. Something was moving, something massive. But before anyone could understand it, they arrived. The sky didn't fill with ships. It cracked. Above Earth's atmosphere, reality itself seemed to tear open. From those fractures emerged objects, so enormous that the human mind struggled to comprehend them. They weren't just ships, they were cities. No, they were worlds. Dark, silent, watching. Every satellite transmitted the same horrifying image. Thousands of colossal alien structures hanging above Earth like executioners. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then Tokyo disappeared. There was no explosion, no sound, no warning. One moment it existed, the next, it didn't. Billions watched in silence as an entire city simply ceased to be. Where buildings once stood, there was only empty air, as if reality had been erased. Panic spread faster than any virus. News channels broke into chaos. Governments scrambled to respond. Military forces mobilized across every continent. But deep down, everyone knew this wasn't a war. This was an execution. Missiles were launched within minutes. Thousands of them. Nuclear, hypersonic, experimental. Everything humanity had. They streaked into the sky like desperate prayers. And then, they vanished. Every missile stopped mid-flight, frozen, suspended in the air as if time itself had rejected them. And one by one, they dissolved into nothing. Humanity's greatest weapons were meaningless. The second city to die was New York. This time the world was watching. A beam of pale light descended from one of the alien structures. It touched the city and erased it cleanly, perfectly. No rubble, no fire, no survivors, just absence. That's when the screaming started. Across the globe, people ran. Cars crashed. Planes fell from the sky. Entire populations fled in blind terror, searching for safety that didn't exist. Because there was nowhere to hide. They weren't targeting military bases. They weren't issuing demands. They weren't even communicating. They were deleting humanity. Within hours, London, Delhi, Shanghai, Paris, all gone. Civilization collapsed in real time. The internet became a graveyard of final messages. Goodbyes, prayers, screams. And in the middle of it all stood one man, Captain Arman Varric, Pakistani Special Forces. Call sign Ghost 7. He wasn't supposed to survive. No one was. Arman stood in the ruins of what used to be Lahori's military command sector. Smoke filled the air. Buildings burned in the distance. The ground trembled with each distant erasure. His comm device crackled with broken transmissions. Anyone copy? We're losing everything. This is extinction. He turned his gaze upward, at the sky, at them. The alien structures hovered in perfect silence, cold, unfeeling, godlike. Arman's fist clenched. This isn't how it ends, he whispered. Above him, one of the structures moved. For the first time, it reacted. A section of its surface shifted, opening like an eye. And then, a beam of light descended. It was coming for him. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but he didn't. Instead, he stood his ground. If we die, he said quietly, staring into the light, you'll remember us. The beam hit. For a moment, everything went white. Inside the alien construct, alarms erupted. Anomaly detected. Target not eradicated. Unknown energy signature. That had never happened before. Not once. Not in thousands of years of conquest. Back on Earth, Arman was still standing. The light surrounded him, tearing at reality itself. But something was resisting it. His body trembled. His veins burned. His vision fractured. And then changed. He saw them, not as ships, not as structures, but as beings. Ancient, vast, terrifying. And for the first time, they saw him too. The connection lasted less than a second, but it was enough. The beam collapsed. Arman fell to his knees, gasping for air. Alive. Above him, the alien fleet shifted. For the first time since arriving, they hesitated. Deep within the largest construct, something stirred. The Emperor, A being older than human civilization, a conqueror of galaxies, a destroyer of species. And for the first time in centuries, it felt something unfamiliar. Concern. What are they? It asked. Back on Earth. Armin looked up again. His eyes were no longer the same. They glowed, faint, blue. The world did not end in fire. It ended in silence. Hours after the first cities vanished, Earth became something unrecognizable. No governments, no communication, no order, only fear. The alien fleet remained in the sky, motionless, watching, waiting for what no one knew. Across the shattered planet, small pockets of survivors hid beneath ruins, underground bunkers, collapsed tunnels, anywhere the sky could not see them, or so they hoped. But hope was a fragile thing now. In what remained of northern Pakistan, deep beneath a fractured military bunker, a group of survivors gathered in darkness. Soldiers, civilians, children, and among them, Captain Armin Varric. He sat in silence, his back against a cracked concrete wall. Dust covered his uniform. His hands were still trembling, not from fear, but from something else. Something inside him was changing. You saw it too, didn't you? The voice came from across the room. Dr. Sarah Malik, a civilian scientist, astrophysics specialist, one of the few who had survived the initial attacks. Armin didn't respond immediately. I don't know what I saw, he finally said. Sarah stepped closer, studying him carefully. No, she whispered. You felt it. That made him look up. For a moment, their eyes met, and she froze. Your eyes, she said quietly. Armin frowned. What about them? They're glowing. Silence filled the bunker. A soldier nearby shifted nervously. That's not possible. But it was. A faint blue light pulsed behind Armin's pupils, subtle but unmistakable. I think, Sarah said slowly, they didn't just attack us. They scanned us. Above Earth. The alien fleet remained in formation, inside the largest construct. The Emperor observed. Explain, it commanded. A subordinate entity responded instantly. Subject 7A exhibited resistance to erasure protocol. Energy output unknown. Biological structure? Evolving. Evolving? The Emperor repeated. Yes, my lord. The species is adapting. That word should not have applied. No species had ever adapted during extermination. They died. That was the law of the galaxy. But humans were breaking it. Continue observation, the Emperor ordered. Do not eliminate the anomaly. For the first time, Earth was no longer just a target. It was an experiment. Back underground, the bunker lights flickered. Power was unstable. Resources were low. Time was running out. We need a plan, one of the soldiers said. We can't just sit here waiting to die. And what do you suggest? Another snapped. Go outside and fight those things? We don't even understand them. Armin stood up. Instantly, the room fell quiet. We don't need to understand them, he said. We need to survive. And then, his glowing eyes lifted toward the ceiling, toward the sky beyond. We make them understand us. Days passed, or maybe hours. Time had lost meaning. The attacks had slowed but not stopped. Every few hours, another city vanished. Another piece of humanity erased. But something strange was happening. Less people were dying. Not because the aliens had mercy, but because humans were changing. Reports began to spread among survivors. Whispers, stories, impossible things. A man in Brazil who survived a direct beam. A woman in Russia who could sense the attacks before they happened. A child in Africa who stopped debris midair. Evolution. Fast. Uncontrolled. Terrifying. Sarah sat in front of a flickering screen, analyzing fragmented data. This isn't random, she said. Armin leaned against the wall nearby. Then what is it? She took a deep breath. It's a trigger. The attack is activating something inside us. Something that was always there. Armin's jaw tightened. So you're saying they tried to wipe us out, and instead, they're making us stronger? Sarah nodded slowly. Yes. Silence. Then, Armin smiled. For the first time since the invasion began. Then they made a mistake. Above Earth, the Emperor watched the data streams. More anomalies, more resistance, more evolution. This was no longer acceptable. Prepare full extinction protocol, it ordered. End this species. Back on Earth, Armin stepped outside the bunker. The sky was dark. Ash filled the air. Ruins stretched in every direction. And above it all, the alien fleet. Watching, waiting, challenging. Armin closed his eyes, and for a moment, he felt it again. That connection, that presence, not hostile, not friendly, just aware. His eyes snapped open. They're not just machines, he whispered. They're alive. Behind him, Sarah stepped out. What did you say? Armand didn't look back. They're watching us, he said. Learning. Judging. Sarah's expression darkened. Then we don't have much time. Armand nodded. No, we don't. He stepped forward. Into the ruined world. We start now. Start what? She asked. He turned slightly. And for the first time, there was no fear in his face, only resolve. War. Far above. The Emperor felt it. That shift. That defiance. And for the first, the horizon glowed with the embers of the fallen city. Smoke rose in thick columns, twisting like dark fingers into the twilight sky. Captain Ryland stood on the ridge overlooking the ruins. His armor scorched but intact, reflecting the dying light in faint glimmers. Every step forward had been a trial. Yet humanity had endured, and for the first time, a fragile hope shimmered through the chaos. The aliens, relentless and calculating, had underestimated one critical factor: humanity's unyielding adaptability. Even as their fleets rained fire and annihilation, humans fought back with ingenuity that no simulation could predict. Ryland remembered the first time they had turned enemy technology against itself. An experiment that now defined their strategy. Commander, we've intercepted a signal, Lieutenant Sarah reported, her voice steady despite the tension. She tapped at the holoscreen projected from her gauntlet. A flickering message appeared, encrypted in a pattern unfamiliar to human systems. It's not entirely alien. There's something different about it. Ryland squinted at the display. Show me. The signal revealed schematics of a weapon, a device capable of disrupting the alien hive mind. It was incomplete, the notes scattered across fragmented data nodes. Yet the design suggested a collaboration, something neither purely human nor fully alien. Could it be a defect in their ranks? Ryland mused. Or someone else? Sarah shook her head. Impossible to say. But it's a chance, and humanity doesn't get many of those. They moved cautiously through the ruins toward the last known coordinates of the signal. The city beneath them was a labyrinth of collapsed towers and shattered highways, littered with the remnants of both alien and human machinery. Smoke hung in the air, carrying the scent of ozone and burning fuel. Every corner could conceal a threat or an opportunity. As they navigated the debris, Ryland's mind wandered to the stories he had heard from the old survivors. Tales of humans who had infiltrated enemy strongholds using stealth and cunning, turning small victories into turning points. That audacity was humanity's true weapon, not superior firepower, but a relentless will to survive. The signal led them to a subterranean facility, partially buried beneath the city's ruins. The entrance was jagged, cracked open from the previous bombardment, and lined with alien glyphs that pulsed faintly with energy. Ryland gestured for his team to stay alert. Inside, the air was thick and humming with alien resonance. Walls were lined with consoles, some flickering weakly, others fully offline. In the center, a device pulsed with a soft blue light, the core of the schematic they had intercepted. Looks like someone beat us here, Sarah whispered. Before they could investigate further, a shadow detached itself from the darkness, a figure, tall and thin, with luminous eyes and a humanoid form, but undeniably alien. Yet its posture was hesitant, almost pleading. Who are you? Ryland demanded, weapon raised. The figure raised its hands in a gesture of peace. Its voice resonated directly in their minds, a harmonic tone that bypassed language. I am Caleth. I wish to help. Ryland narrowed his eyes. Help? You're one of them, the invaders. Caleth's eyes glimmered. Not all of us wish for conquest. Some of my kind have seen what you can endure, and we fear the cost of our own orders. Sarah whispered, could it be a rebel? Caleth extended a hand toward the device. This can end the hive's control, but I cannot survive the process. Only humans can operate it safely. Ryland felt a surge of conflicting emotions, distrust, hope, and the weight of the decision. He looked at his team, all waiting for guidance. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. Perhaps now, their greatest test would be not against brute force, but against the moral calculus of trust. We'll take it, Ryland said finally. Show us how. Over the next several hours, Caleth guided them through the device's intricate operation. It was not a weapon in the traditional sense, but a resonance amplifier tuned to the neural frequencies of the alien hive mind. The idea was to inject a pattern of chaos into the hive network, breaking the psychic link that bound the invaders together. As they worked, the facility trembled. Alien forces had detected the disruption, and reinforcements were pouring in. Outside, the sounds of engines and energy weapons echoed faintly through the rubble. Humanity's clock was ticking faster than ever. When the device finally activated, the effect was immediate. Across the city, alien units faltered, their coordination failing. A wave of disarray spread through the remaining fleet. What had once been an unstoppable force now wavered under human ingenuity. Kaleth's form began to dissipate, energy scattering into the amplifier. Thank you for understanding. The last echo of the alien rebel vanished, leaving Rylan and his team staring at the QU.